little bit of something out of this. Whether it's just the seed money they need really quickly just to get moving or not, that's just the one thing we'll do very, very well. And that's because that's the work that nobody really wants to do. Angel and seed investing is a real tough job. For a lot of people, it's a real bitch. They don't want to run around, talk to hundreds of companies and work with them to analyze whether to cut them check. It's just too much work for them. It's easier to be a fund manager investing 10 checks a year versus 100 checks a year, believe me. In fact, you're going to make much more money just investing $10 million checks in 10 companies a year than just $25 and $50 million in 200 companies. Much more work, less pay. But that's the job we think the world needs to get done. It needs to get done so we have a supply of hundreds and thousands of innovations around the world for later investors to really fund and grow into large companies. We think it's a very important job. We take a lot of pride in it, and we want to do that. We want to do that very, very well. What comes along with that duty as well is that to be very nuanced about how we approach this. Most people are very simplistic to think that, oh, I'm a VC, I need to spend more time with the company, I'm going to be more helpful. That's smart money. Well, all of you have been managers before. Sometimes you spend a lot of time with these few employees and they're just sucking up all your management time. They're not necessarily top performing employees. Now, I need to reflect on your management experiences. What do the top performing employees really need from you as a manager? They need a bit of guidance. They need your resources and budgets, where it's required. They need KPIs to be set very clear, and they're off the running, and they will surpass all of that, and they will impress you boundlessly. With entrepreneurs, it's very, very similar. So, so I think that it's based on that kind of very nuanced understanding of what helps seed companies succeed and what helps seed entrepreneurs succeed. We believe in our thesis, and we're convinced that this is what needs to be done, and we'll continue doing it. Now, lastly, what I'll say is that there are only a few things which can be achieved through massive scale. I'll give you an example. Right now, for once, we're proud to have little WhatsApp groups where we have enough activity on the WhatsApp groups because we've got 40 to 50 founders per country. So, give you an example. Carousel wants to do something in Indonesia. We add Marcus, one of the founders, into our Indonesia WhatsApp group. Then he asks his question. Immediately, there's all these answers flooding in from other founders in Indonesia. When an Indonesia founder wants to go in Singapore and ask something, we add them to the WhatsApp group. They ask questions, answers flood in. I'm getting spammed by all my own founders on WhatsApp every day, and I just put on mute on the WhatsApp thing because I just can't follow up because they're helping each other. There's like a peer network and peer support. Now, if as a VC, if we only had 20 companies, we cannot provide this kind of peer-to-peer support. And we think a lot about the peer-to-peer support and what that can look like at 100,000 companies or so, because that, again, has its own scalability issues, and then we have to think about how we solve it when the time comes. So, I don't know, maybe this answer is overly nuanced, but at least we're trying to give you the full spectrum of how we look at it.
No, I think it's great. The WhatsApp bot seed kind of strategy seems to be working as well. And personally, I think that a by result of this is that it encourages sort of competition within the VCs and investors instead of direct competition. Because you guys co-invest, instead of gobbling up the whole round by yourselves. But staying on what's new on Fund 2, one of the more recent developments from Fund 1 was the launch of the micro fund. So the Tuk Tuks and 500 Pho, 500 Vietnam. So how does it add value to the current portfolio company? So for instance, if Ematic wants to expand into Vietnam, actually I know that Ematic has a team there already. Are there any synergies and are there any resources that your portfolio companies can tap on?
Well, I think it's kind of obvious. It's kind of, in VC, it's a very human relationship kind of game. One of my companies wanted to do something in Japan, but I don't have any coverage in Japan. Luckily, we have a Japan fund. So I sent a Slack message to James, who runs our Japan fund. I said, hey, James, here's the deal, man. I need you to kind of take a call, understand what's required, and make a couple of intros. Can you do that for me? James was like, got your back, brother. Right? That's it, right? So it's not really technical or whatever. It's still kind of human relationship kind of network. And I think we're stronger in some countries and weaker in other countries. And with more micro funds dedicated to specific countries, hopefully we have more incentivized individuals to help out.
Yeah, I can chime in on that too. I think especially for Singapore-based startups, but a lot of startups around the region. Obviously, Singapore isn't the biggest market in the world, so regional expansion is going to be priority number 2 of anything you're going to do. First, get the business going, start expanding regionally, next step. So for us, it was actually a very intentional part of our strategy to get some investors who had footprint from around Southeast Asia. So we have investors from Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, but with 500 startups, also having reached into Thailand, Vietnam. And one of our investors also has good connections in the Philippines. We're now in 6 markets in 9 months. So that was absolutely crucial to make sure we had some friends on the ground wherever we were going.
Okay, so again, staying on what's new and fun too. Are you guys gonna pick up some of the buzzwords in the tech space like IoT? I know you guys are really looking
Artificial
at fintech,
intelligence.
yeah, AI. Are we gonna expect some of that from 500?
Jared, did you want to open up questions to the
Yeah.
just now you wanted to open up questions to them, I don't know.
Maybe after this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it.
About
You're in a
artificial
robotics
machines. Yeah.
panel recently.
So something funny happened, like we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Something funny happened last month. I signed up for a machine learning and artificial intelligence conference that was taking place in Singapore to try and understand better what was happening in this space. It was a fairly sophisticated conference. I think there were a lot of people with PhDs in machine learning who had spent a lot of time with large tech companies in the Valley who had come down to Southeast Asia to speak at this conference and understand what the ecosystem and the landscape is like. And we had been receiving a lot of inbound from a lot of companies saying we are an artificial intelligence and machine learning startup. A few months ago they were a fintech startup, a few months before that they were a big data startup, a few months before that they were an on-demand startup, a few months before that they were a mobile startup. So we see people go through the entire permutation of buzzwords. I wanted to understand this one better. I arrive at the conference and this lady comes up to me and says, "Oh, you are here. Oh, thank you, at the registration booth. Please come this way." And I'm ushered inside a room and I'm put on stage. And I'm sitting on stage with two other people. And like, what's going on? I'm apparently on the panel. I see my name behind like with his views on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and I had absolutely no idea. And the two panelists, I happened to know them, and so I told them I did not know I was on this panel. And they made it a point to direct every question that was asked of them to me. on my, what are your views, Vishal, on neural networks and API calls and how that's taking the. And the truth is, I thought about it from first principles, and I think the answer that I came up with accurately summarizes how we view that, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, whether it's fintech or big data. Here in Southeast Asia, it's unlikely that we're going to be investing in the cutting-edge tech plays in those spaces. Those companies are being born in other places. They're being born in the Valley. They're being born on the East Coast in Boston. They're being born in Israel. What we will be investing in Southeast Asia in a very big way is the application of those businesses, is the application of artificial intelligence, is the application of machine learning, because those are just going to become layers on top of normal businesses. It's going to be commoditized. Anyone can plug into an artificial and machine learning framework quite easily and make their business smart. So I think that shows great promise, and we're very excited about things like that.
So I'll give you an example of a company like that, right? Like, so Nugget is a Singapore-based company, which is data, big data, machine learning, and everything. Every buzz you want to throw, it did that. They have a lot of that, and it's true. They have a lot of maniacs in the company. But how are they applying it on the application layer to the world that solves a customer problem that's such value for a customer that customers are willing to dole out a lot of cash? So I'll tell you the exact story. For a lot of media agencies, they get a lot of the big brands like Nestle or Unilever to work with the media agencies to spend media money. And a lot of media money goes to Facebook and Google. So there are a lot of analytics which gets produced as a result. Now, what do the customers want? The media agencies want to show reports to Unilever. So media agency, let's say Group M. Group M wants to show Unilever, hey, I've spent all your money and I've got some insights for you, right? But they don't have data scientists to actually understand what the hell is going on, so they struggle. And a lot of their social media people that hire these fresh grads who have high Instagram followers and then they end up managing on social media accounts. So nobody really knows what's going on, but Group M needs to show Unilever what's going on and needs to show it well. So Nugget comes along and says, hey guys, don't worry about it. You just plug in all of your Facebook, Google, and all this media data into Nugget. And Nugget will shoot out a deck of slides that you put your logo on and can forward to Unilever. Then Group M is like, oh my god, thank God you're doing this, right? How much is this going to cost? Nugget says, well, it's going to cost this much. They're like, oh, that's really expensive. I said, all right, well, then you just produce your own reports then, right? They're like, oh, okay, hold on. Because a data scientist is expensive. Someone who actually knows what they're doing is really expensive. So Nugget kind of solves that with the machine learning and big data, whatever, but applies it to that specific use case. As a result, media agencies across the region are just doling out big bucks just to get that data scientists in the cloud. data scientist as a service layer, right, to solve that problem. So we believe a lot of very smart brainiacs who come from all kinds of places around the world have a lot of unique and exciting technology. Like say that amazing guys out there, which I just spoke to, right? You guys have that voice thing. So they blew my mind just a few minutes ago. They took out a phone and then they sent like some payment thing to this other thing by sound, like a high-pitched frequency thing. And it's like encoded and it's trusted. So instead of Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or email, you guys have to send this sound across, right? So I've only heard of these things send this sound. And like, did a dog die in the process? Like, oh, did a dog like collapse? You know, I don't know, right? But it seemed to work and it's amazing, right? And that's why they're called Amazing. And as a startup, so I mean, how I would converse with Amazing is to say, okay, let's just understand whose pain it is you're solving. What kind of efficiency you're creating as a result of using this technology. And of all the potential customers out there, which of them has the highest chance of giving you a lot of money for it, right? So we got to follow the money, you got to apply your amazing technology to a customer that's willing to give you money. And so I think for machine learning, robotics, and all this stuff, it happens to be the case. We have invested, I've led an investment in a robotics company, and they're applying robotics to home care, to elderly care. Now, elderly care happens to be one of those SME traditional business spaces which is rapidly getting disrupted by tech right now. Like in the US, I think Honor, Honor, American spelling, Honor.com just raised a mega round, Andreessen and so on and so forth invested in them. A UK version just raised a very big round, giving kind of elderly home care. So instead of sending your great-grandparents to old folks' home, it's like they can be in the comforts of their own home, but get support that's even better than old folks' home, right? Done through software and technology. So we invested in a similar company deploying these robots where Vishal can be persistently present in his parents' home, right, great-grandparents' home, if sorts, right, or an elderly person's home. Vishal can be there through a robot. So Vishal can just like go around and then the person can actually talk to Vishal via this robot, and then Vishal is just like, hey, yep, I'm here, right, and give that emotional touch.
To be honest, we just wanted them for our offices, but yeah, that too.
Oh, and we wanted them for our offices as well because like we're in different offices. But it's like, but they're doing it at like 1/50th the price of everybody else. And they do it by just using Android, like Huawei tablets and stuff, right? They put it together. I nicknamed the company GhettoBot because it just come together in such a ghetto fashion. But it's like 1/50th the cost, so it's just more easily deployed everywhere. So they're having a lot of deployments. Anyways, I think that kind of speaks to the way we think about things. You know, whatever tech there is out there, as long as there's a customer willing to pay money for it, we're there for you.
Yeah, so I think it's really about the application of the technology, you know, to something more meaningful than actually just name dropping the buzzwords. But before I just open it up to the floor, right, because we are proud users of Ematic as well. In fact, Ematic is doing some cleaning out of our databases. So are you guys using some of these technologies? Because from what I understand, there's some algorithms, you know, some data crunching involved.
Yeah, it's a great question.
This is a hologram.
Okay, confession time. I just hopped on the AI bandwagon not too long ago myself.
Watson.
Do you guys read CV Insights? I don't know if you guys read this, but I love those guys. But actually, you know, we went out and bought the ematic.ai domain. Like, we're like, come on, we'll do it. But you know what? The reality is, I mean, it is genuine artificial intelligence, right? So the deal is build a good company, build a good product. But I'd also say, don't be completely afraid to jump on the buzzwords when you need to. It's, you know, they're there for a reason. So don't be afraid of them, but don't rely on them. I guess would be the backstory. Yeah, so we do build artificial intelligence solutions, but I think that point about, you know, it's an application of technology as opposed to the core technology. I do come from a Silicon Valley background. You know, a lot of times, I don't know, I want to put up posters all over our offices to say this isn't the fucking Valley. I want everybody to like realize that, right? Like, we're not sitting here building the cutting edge next generation software. We're taking software, we're taking concepts, and we're going and applying them to market needs. And that's technology in emerging markets, right? So, you know, I think that's a very different kind of a place. So that's a good characterization of it. To speak a little bit to the artificial intelligence that we've been working on, you know, a lot of it is based. So we're an email marketing company. So for those of you who live here in Singapore, you can probably thank me for about a 30% reduction in noise in your inbox. So our main job is to figure out when not to spam people with emails. So that's one of the kinds of things that you need artificial intelligence to do. The old school approaches to segmentation don't work anymore. It needs to be much more about user experience and one-to-one personalization. So.
All right, so it's time to get the .ai domains, and now we're going to open it up to the floor.
500.ai.
You know, any questions? Yeah, many
all my
questions.
intelligence.
The lady at the back, maybe you can have one.
Okay.
Do you have any mics
Yeah, I can
around?
hear you, I can
or-
hear you.
yeah, okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. I'm currently part of an accelerator called Bloom.
Oh yeah.
And we've only been there for 2 months, and every time we get reminded, time and time again, that the success rates of startups are pretty low. And they always ask you one question: why do you do what you do? Because you're technically giving up a lot to pursue this dream. So, in your eyes, in your words, Vishal and Eddie, why do you do what you do when the capital gains are not something that's guaranteed on all the corporations?
Well, it's guaranteed of us. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say that.
Sorry, Mitchell.
It's not, nothing's guaranteed. You know.
No, why do you take it?
Okay, so why do I do what I do when the capital gains are not guaranteed, right? Okay, a few fronts. I think it's really fun. I kind of just like doing what I'm doing. It's just very simple, very childish answer. But I've led my entire life just doing what's fun, and somehow it works. So it's a very strange little thing. So, so I don't think I really have a very sophisticated answer for you. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I realized that I had the good fortune of building and selling 2 companies out of Malaysia, and a lot of entrepreneurs talk about how painful and whatever it is, but when I look at all of that, I could be working in a corporate company and also go through the same pain. I could also be doing nothing and go through different kinds of pain. So I think it's pretty relative. So since life is a long journey of suffering anyway, you might as well have fun while you're at it. And so like I just did what I felt was really fun, and what was really fun was actually seeing customers succeed as well. The moment you actually generate revenue from customers, you actually have like customers and clients who use your products, rely on it, and rave about it. It's very validating. You know, you feel like your life has some significance in some way, right? So going through that whole process, like it's really fun. I naturally gravitated to friends who were also like me, who thought these things were fun. And then so they want to start companies. I angel invested in them, and then they emerged to build interesting companies. And so a lot of what I do today is an extension of that. I think that on a more philosophical level, and maybe a less simple answer, is that a lot of us on earth here as very creative spirits. You know, we do things, whether you're singing or dancing or running or auditing IPO docket or whatever. Like a lot of things you're doing, there is a lot of energy that goes into these things. And if a lot of this energy can be made more, it can be arranged in ways where it actually produces companies that changes things, like that's even more fun. That's like fun to the power of 500, right? And so to that extent, like I think that I've never been at a single project for more than 2 years of my life. I've been at 500 for almost 3 years plus, and I've made a 9-year plan for myself on how to actually make all of this come together. And I think that it can take 10 or 20 years, but if we can create a global platform where it's almost like push button, you can actually get money raised, you can get education you need, you can get support services you need, you can get peer support, you can get all these things super efficiently. Like I want creating a company, creating a startup to be so efficient, right? Efficient to the point where we're going to look at here today where you're actually at the right